All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 457 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football, and we're going to put some of the Falcons stuff on the back burner because we're going to talk about Georgia Southern once again. Falcons had a pretty big win against the 49ers with NFC implications down the road. Believe it or not, it can be down the road if, things continue to go on up and up, but we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about why I love this quarterback, Kyle Vantrease. I know, especially in my Discord, I've been up and down about him because of some of his throws, and I'm definitely going to talk about that because this guy just threw for 578 yards in this last game. And that's nothing to sneeze at, no matter how bad I feel about some of his throws. But I love this kid. And the guy that I have pictured on the screen, if you're watching this on the visual side of things, Coach Clay Helton is genius. He's brilliant when it comes to this whole thing of making up this program into what it needs to be to, like he said, that platinum standard of a group of five of school where it need to be. I want to talk about all that in this episode, and hopefully you guys follow me because I love Kyle Vantrease. Don't get me wrong. I love the way this guy's playing football. I have some gripes. I'm going to talk about that. But as well, I'm going to talk about the guy who make this go, and that's Coach Clay Helton. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. All the stuff is down in the description if you want to support and find other ways and avenues to reach me via social media. Through social media. If you want to find me on all those places, you go ahead. And I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into this. Listen. Coach Clay Helton knows what he's doing. It may not look right. People on the USC, Trojan side of things may think he's not the guy that you think he is. But he knows what he's doing. And what he's put together so far between him and his quarterback and the coaching staff and the way they want to play football here at Georgia Southern is nothing short of brilliant. He brought in a quarterback that has veteran leadership, that knows how to play football. Now, the numbers don't jump off at you, and the numbers don't tell everything. It really don't, because Kyle Vantrease is here for the sole purpose of knowledge, leadership, experience, and familiarity. And the knowledge and leadership and experience, those are things that you want in a quarterback when you're trying to, build a program. And luckily with the transfer portal, that was possible. Now the familiarity part is something that I didn't even think about this until now. Kyle Vantrease has played a lot of teams that are on our schedule. He's played Nebraska last year. He played Coastal last year. In the game that we played this week against Old Dominion, he's played against Old Dominion last year. So this is the brilliant thing about Coach Clay Helton. Clay Helton knows that he needs the guy that comes in that knows a lot of things when it comes to the mental part of being a quarterback. But the other part of the mental part of being the mental side of a quarterback is being familiar of the guys that you're playing against. Being in the being familiar with the places you've been as a quarterback. There's no coincidence that Coach Clay Helton brought Kyle Vantrease here to play against opponents that he's used to. So whoever that comes under center for Georgia Southern is not necessarily feel like a deer in headlights. Nebraska, Coastal, Old Dominion. And I'm going to talk about the numbers that he had against Old Dominion because they actually won that game. And they could have won the game against Coastal. We already talked about the Coastal game. And you saw what he did against Nebraska. So, Kyle Vantrease is, I'm not going to say he's the perfect fit because I don't think anything is perfect. But he's damn sure close to it, regardless of all the interceptions that are thrown and all this other. Because I'm going to tell you, my gripes are not only just the interceptions, but some of the errant passes. I did not like a lot of these passes. And I've been on record saying that throughout my Discord. And I said it in some of my halftime speeches that I put on Twitter. But don't make no mistake, I love this kid. I love the fact that he's here. Sometimes he makes me mad and make me want to put my hair to say, okay, coach, put somebody else in. But honestly, I got to be real with myself. He's the best guy, the best kid for this job right now at Georgia Southern. It is not anything more that you could ask for to bring a guy like this in, and for him to have the experience against a lot of the teams that we're playing this year, and for him to be that 6-year senior, to have all that experience in leadership, And I'm gonna play a clip really quick, and then I'm gonna talk about the things about Kyle Vantrease that are very, very very, very much a positive for this team. So let me put my headset on. We're going to listen to Coach Clay Helton at the press conference that was yesterday, which was phenomenal. And it's one of the things that I noticed when I saw him play against Nebraska, kind of a little bit what I saw when he played against Coastal, and when I saw him play against, you can even go to the Morgan State game and even this past game against James Madison. Just listen to what Coach had to say about this and about this question that was asked and the answer that came. Just listen to it because I'm all over the place. All right, here we go.
Coach, we always hear about keeping an even keel over the course of a long season, the highs and lows. Based on just the last couple of weeks, with the way the team has played in losses and then played great in win, was there, with all those quarterbacks you've got, or former quarterbacks you've got on the coaching staff, including yourself, did anyone say anything to Kyle, since he's right here, during the week to kind of say, hey, remember this, I know you know this, you're an experienced quarterback, but keep this in mind? Was there any kind of words of wisdom or anything that came down?
One of the things about Kyle is the guy's a vet and he's a pro, and there's something to be said about reps and experience and being in wars and understanding that some games are just not going to go your way. You play Georgia, and you also understand whether you're a head coach or a quarterback, when you win, you get a lot of pats on the back. And when you lose, it doesn't matter how many yards you throw for, you're going to be criticized. And he knows that. He's been in championship games, and he's lost close games. And sometimes you have 4 interceptions, and 2 of them one of them bangs off a pair of hands and gets an interception. One of them you get hit sideways for miscommunication and pass protection, and the ball comes out of your hand funny. That happens. But every great player I've ever been around in any sport, I don't care if you're a pitcher on a baseball team, I don't care if you're a golfer swinging that golf club, or a quarterback getting to the next throw. All the great ones let the last play and the last outing go, and they focus on the moment and where they're in. He had a moment where he's playing a really good team that was giving him opportunities to produce some big plays, and he made those plays. And not only did he make them, a lot of them he checked to. He diagnosed the defense and said, you know what, you're giving me this, I'm going to take it. To have the courage and the confidence to be able to do that, I hope we all understand. That guy provides us hope. We would not be in these positions to win games if it's not for Kyle Vantrease.
I don't know what else to say there. I mean, seriously, what else can you say there? He basically broke it down like the type of quarterback that he is and why he's here. And to be honest with you, without him, I don't know how we would do in these games. And it's not a knock on any of the other quarterbacks. It's not a knock on any of them. But I just don't know how that will work out in our favor if we don't have that leadership. I mean, there's other times where, I don't know if he mentioned it in this, if he mentioned it in this clip right now, but he's talking about other times where Kyle Vantrease have checked down and changed things on the line. And it just goes through leadership. I've seen him do it. He did it in the Nebraska game. Without that, we don't score. With him changing plays and moving things around. Without that, we don't find a way to get to having the lead late in the game against Coastal. Or even in Old Dominion game. Not the Old Dominion, I'm sorry, but James Madison game. You don't get that without that type of knowledge and leadership in knowing what's going on in the on the field. I know someone who told me that Kyle Vantrease is the best guy for this job. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But when I saw some of his plays, like the Georgia State game, like what Coach said in the 4 interceptions, or when I saw him throw some crazy patches against Morgan State, which, that was the first game of the season, and we saw him do some errant passes, it makes you pull your hair out sometimes But just like what Coach said, you got to let that stuff go. And the next throw is your best throw. And I think even in this press conference that Georgia Southern recently had, that's one thing that Kyle Vantrease said. Your best throw is the next throw. And and that's what I like about this quarterback. He doesn't keep a long-term memory. He just goes through and just continue to play and continue to fight and continue to push. I don't know if any other quarterback that we have now, to be honest with you, will be able to do that. When you look at the game against, when you just look at his stats in general, which I'm going to pull these up real quick. I thought I had them up. I'm going to pull these up. I want to apologize. I don't have them up right just yet. But when you look at these stats right here, it's just amazing that this kid continues to break records, do big things on the field, and continue to lead this team the way that, you would want a kid to lead this team. I just find it insane with what he's put up so far. In the year 2022, he's already through 7 games. 210 for 347. 60% of his passes are completed. 2,511 yards. 17 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Now, I would like those interceptions to go down a little bit, but 2,511 yards. And even in some of the games that he's played, throughout the season, he just put up big numbers everywhere he's gone. And what more could you ask for in that moment? In those moments. The last 5 games, you put up 204 against UAB, 310 against Ball State. And I know the UAB game was more of, 3 interceptions, but against Ball State, 310. Coastal Carolina, 284, which, that you consider that is low right now, but 284, it's still a good game. Georgia State, he put up 359. Now, that's the 4 interception game, but he still put up 359. In the last game, he put up 578. It's unreal. You go look at the Buffalo game, and when he was at Buffalo playing against Old Dominion, he's going back in old territory again. He won this game 35-34, which they scored 28 points in the second quarter. Old Dominion tried to come back and win that game, but I think they missed a field goal or something like that, or missed the extra point. Kyle Vantrease was 17-26, 191, 1 touchdown, no interception. Let me tell you something. I don't think he's going to he'll probably throw for 191 by the middle of the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock on Old Dominion, but we're going to do another episode down the road where we're going to talk about the secondary of the rest of the teams of our season and see how their secondary is going to go up against Kyle Vantrease in these wide receivers. So even though that he's already played this team and beat him, he has some familiarity with them, he's coming back with better weapons. No knock on none of the receiving core of Buffalo from last year. Quan Williams had 9 catches for 134. You have 3 or 4 guys on this Georgia Southern team that's capable of getting over 100 yards apiece. We just saw that against James Madison. And I don't think the Monarchs secondary is as good as James Madison. To be honest with you, I don't think their defense is that good. Not as good as James Madison anyway. Now, they do have a pass rush, which will bode well for us because Kyle Vantrease is capable of getting the ball out quick. And you want to get those guys out quick in space. All the athletes we have will be great. But I love this kid for what he's capable of doing with this team. Now, like I said, I've called. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to hide or sugarcoat it. I called for backups to get in this game in the game at some times. Mostly, during the Georgia State game. And I'm going to tell you why. I wanted to beat Georgia State badly. Coastal, you did pretty good. You only threw 1 interception. And I can't remember what that interception was like. It was kind of, I don't know what it was like. But you only threw 1. But you throw 4? I'm going to scratch my head a little bit. And I will stand by that until the cows come home. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, man, no, you throw 4 interceptions in the game. I want to see the backup. I don't care what kind of what quarterback we have. That's just me. But I will say at the same time, when you throw 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, and you throw for 578, I want to keep you on the field. So, I mean, the thing is, I call a spade a spade. If you're playing good, I want you on the field. If you're not, let somebody else get in there. But I love this kid because of the fact that he's able to bounce back. Even after a game of 4 interceptions against Georgia State, he goes right back into another game and puts on a clinic. 578. Wasn't that like the most most yards passing by a quarterback in the last 2 seasons? I think they said on a college football final. He's getting all these accolades from national media. This is the type of thing you want to see out of your quarterback mostly all the time, but especially when you have a game that, you had to bounce back from. Even with the UAB game, he threw for 204, had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, went right back and played against Ball State, threw for 310, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So when you have somebody like that who's capable of bouncing back after, a not so good performance, and even you can even say with the Coastal game, even though in a loss, I think he did everything he was supposed to do to win that game. I already talked about the running back Bailey for Coastal Carolina just making a good play. And speaking of Coastal Carolina, you better believe that Old Dominion is going to have a chip on their shoulder because they just beat Coastal Carolina in Conway. I think they beat them in Conway, if I'm not mistaken. So you gotta understand that these guys are going to be looking like they can do something. Old Dominion is, they're going to look at us like they can do something. So with that being said, we need to go ahead and get up on them quick. Hopefully the defense will continue to play like they did this past game. And we're going to be talking about something really, really special if we could do that. Because now we're going to be on a small winning streak. And we're going to have a lot of confidence. But it all starts with Kyle Vantrease. I think this kid is, I think he's phenomenal. I think he's done phenomenal things so far. Even though sometimes I didn't like everything that he's done. He's been phenomenal for this team. He's done wonders for this team. I appreciate him. I love the fact that he's here. I love the fact that we have a really good quarterback that is actually keeping us in games despite what's going on. Now, you want to talk about the Georgia State game? I give that to you. The UAB game was that game right there was going to be a tough one regardless. And he did play well against Coastal. So even in these 3 games, I'll give you the Georgia State game because I was upset about that game. But I'm not going to sit here and act like that. I'm not going to sit here and act like that I'm not impressed with what I see. You can be critical. At times you can feel like you want change because you don't see like the product on the field. But overall, I'm looking at everything he's done. I love what he's done. We basically got 5 games left. Yeah, you guys gotta understand he could probably reach if he lights it up on every game, he could be close to 5,000 yards. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys love Kyle Vantrease as well? I love the fact that he's our quarterback. At the end of the day, the ups and downs, the ups outweigh the downs, and he is leading this team the proper way. Shout out to Coach Helton for the things that he has put together for this program. I love it. And my son shows up. Come on up here, baby. All right. We about to get out of here, right? You gonna tell everybody bye? I can be found on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Also on YouTube and Rumble. And we're about to get out of here. You gonna tell them bye? No, you're just gonna wave at them. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. See you tomorrow. That's right. Peace.